Namaste. Welcome to Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam for another class on Kaivalya Marga. Let's begin with a single Om. So in this class, we will continue understanding how to practice the Om while focusing on the different centers of consciousness. We had, in the previous class, let me go back to that. We had understood the first three centers of consciousness. Chakras as we know it. We talked of the Mooladhara chakra. We covered the earth element. Now before I go to that, there was an interesting question by one of the viewers, one of you. And thank you for asking these questions. Just ask me if it's relevant. I'll just answer it as we go along in the classes. Otherwise, we'll have to come up with a separate session. But we'll see about that. But for now, this question was relevant. He said, the question was, when I meditate on the Mooladhara as the earth element, what am I thinking of? The earth outside or the bones and the skin and the hair in my body as matter? What am I thinking of? It's both. The answer is, you think of both. You see what happens is the first Mooladhara. So let me go to that slide, right? So you think of the base of the spine, the first Om, and the second one, you're meditating on the earth element. So as the Om goes, understand where is this earth element in the body and outside. So when you think of the outside, you're thinking of earth as we know as earth, the trees, all matter, atoms, molecules, all physical matter. And you compare that with your body and you say that we are all made of that same building blocks are exactly the same. So that is the awareness. So rather than thinking, you feel the connection. Okay, it'll come with practice. Don't try to get it the very first day. With practice, the thinking ceases with every Om, because right now what happens, it takes weeks for us to memorize. Wait a minute, the second Om was nose. Well, wait, earth is nose or earth is eyes. What is this? So all of that has to get ironed out. So once you finish memorizing it so well, that you know the first three Oms, the first location of the chakra, the second one is connection of the element in the chakra, and the third one is my sense organ that connects me to this earth element. And then you begin to feel it. You begin to feel it very naturally, because now you're not worried about what comes next. It comes naturally with practice. So give it some time. First in the first couple of weeks, few weeks of practice, depending on how often you do, you memorize each Om and you work, and so there will be an element of thinking here. So at that moment, you establish this connection between you and the earth. Whatever matter means to you at that moment, all that keeps changing completely as you keep practicing this understanding of the chakras, the understanding of the elements is the beginning and the end in this whole game of yoga and spirituality, because our definition of what we think earth goes on changing. So at this point, we consider it as matter. So let's consider that, because as we go along, what do I mean by that? For example, anything that you're grounded on, your grounded feeling, your conditioned mind, all of that also is earth element. So earth element can mean so many things. So right now, understand this as a physical element in the universe outside and in your body. Take that understanding, go with that earth element, and then connect your nostrils, your nose, the sense of smell with that earth element. Just become aware of the sense of smell and its connection with the earth element. So you're bringing it back in your practice on an everyday basis. So what to think is how you define as earth element, and what makes sense to you of that particular element in your body and outside. That's what we are trying to hear. In a class like this, what happens is we open our minds to thinking and then mananam. So it's a good thing that you're asking these questions, because that means you're contemplating on these ideas. And then you're trying to put it into nididhyasana, the practice. So when that happens, then again more questions come. Then you go back to swadhyaya, which is study. Again go back to manana, contemplation, again come back to practice. So that goes on and on and on throughout the spiritual journey. That is the way to do this. You listen. In other words, when you listen means you're listening right now, but you also, when you read a book, you're listening. When when you're reading, when you're seeing something on television, or when you're listening something to a discourse, all these are considered listening. Anytime you're opening your mind for inputs to come in, you're listening. Okay, so all right, having said that, hopefully that answered some questions. So let us see, go back to Mooladhara. So we discussed Mooladhara as the earth element and the sense of smell. And then we also talked about the second chakra, Swadhisthana. Where is it located? A couple of inches above the Mooladhara, in the region of the sexual organs. And then what is the element there? Water element. And then what is the sense organ that's connected? Sense of taste. In other words, the tongue. Sense of taste. Because this performs two things. One is it speaks, and the second one, the mouth is known for speaking. The tongue is used for tasting. These are two separate sense organs in the practice. Regarding mouth and all, we'll come to that. But sense of taste, you got to remember that. Okay. Then we talked about the Manipuraka chakra, as you'll see in the slide here. Manipuraka chakra is the third one in the region of the navel, the region of the belly button, if you will, where all the digestion takes place. This is where food is digested. This is, you see, why I keep emphasizing on this in all our kriyas and everything is, the best way to explain this is my own experience. So I am with this yoga guru in Puttaparthi, in the ashram of Sai Baba. I call him Appaya, and I'll talk about him more in detail. A very simple person, very, very simple person, very unassuming person, but an amazing yogi. So one day I dared ask him, because I was young, and in India, in Indian tradition, you just don't ask an elderly person their name or their age. It's a very, I don't know, it's just built into it. You can't say, excuse me, what's your name again? You can't do that to an elderly person. I don't know why, but it's just like that. But it comes, you got to slide it in slowly in a conversation, I guess. That I managed to ask him, what do I call you? I asked him. And he said, call me Appaya. And I said, okay, I'll call him Appaya. But one day I asked him, how old are you, sir, Appaya? Because Appaya means father, actually. So you don't have to say Appaya ji and Appaya sir. I just said Appaya, evla vayas ungalukku? How old are you? In my broken Tamil. Because his Tamil was very, very clean. And to my amazement, he said he was 75 years old. Now, he did nowhere close to 75. He was very, very, I would have passed him off as 50 years or something. There were no wrinkles on his face, and the skin tone was very, the skin was taut and whatever. So, I didn't think he was a day over 50 or 55. But when he said 75, I was like, what? 75. I had no reason to doubt him, because he had no reason to lie to me, right? He was not interested in teaching me as much as I was interested in learning from him. He did it out of sheer grace, nothing else. Anyway, so he was the one who introduced me to Kundalini and all of these things. So anyway, so the point here was, I asked him how old, and he said 75, and he saw my disbelief. I said, how can you be 75? What is the secret? And very beautifully, he said, the secret is here. Here, he just pointed like this. My other hand is below a little below my belly button. And this hand, of course, you can see here on the screen, the other hand. So this torso, this place below the chest and little above the sexual organs, just below the belly button, he kept both his hands. He said, the secret is all here. And of course, he was in prime shape, if you will. As far as his body was concerned. And so I didn't understand. He said, Sundar, very simple. I'll tell you, you can maintain youthfulness and health throughout your life. Very simple. And I was like, please tell me, is it a mantra I have to chant? Is it a puja I have to do? What is it I have to do? Some special type of meditation, or what it is? And he said, no. He said, two things, flexible spine and a small stomach. Flexible spine, small stomach. If you have these two, you're healthy throughout. And that's when he explained that the importance, the stomach is elastic in nature. So you can slowly, gradually begin to shrink the size of your stomach by changing your eating habits. Not by eating less necessarily, by eating quality food. Quantity does not give us health in any manner. Quality is what gives us health. So when that happens, the stomach shrinks in size and you're able to maintain, right? Maya and I, for most of the days, we eat one meal a day, and one bowl of salad. Sometimes maybe 1.5, 2 bowls of salad, depending on how active we were that day. It's just one solid meal. And for lunch or something, I have what is called if there's mango, we mix mango and milk. We'll get some protein in, little bit of vegan protein powder. We put a spoon, maybe 5-10 grams of protein there, just for taste, just for some thick drink in the morning. And afternoon, by evening around 5:36, I have one bowl of salad, and that's pretty much it. And there is no reason why we need to eat more quantity to get health. In fact, eating more is what actually kills us. Anyway, we will discuss this more in detail, so I don't want to scare you or make you change your diet plans overnight. You cannot, especially if you're on some medication and all of that. You can't change anything overnight. This didn't happen overnight. We changed it over a period of so many years. We kept trying, going back and forth. Of course, we did have cakes and ice creams and all of that. We went back and forth. Not that we don't eat it now, but predominantly, more or less 99%, I think I've given up white sugar, mainly because it contains animal bones and all of that. So I've given up. I don't even touch it. If at all we make sweet, we make with jaggery. Anyway, the point here is we went back and forth. So it was a gradual change. Okay. So don't ever think of making a sudden shift, because the body goes into a shock and you might see results in the first 2 weeks. But the moment you relax, it comes right back. That's why these crash diets and all don't work. So weight reduction is not as important as maintaining the digestive fire in your belly. So if you have a photo op, the reason why I'm saying all of this is the secret of youth, the secret of youthfulness, the secret of health, the secret of all of this is in the belly here, the Manipuraka chakra. That holds, this is the center place, the commander-in-chief. See, in the Shiva family, and I'm going to come back to this later as we go along. I'm just introducing these thought processes for you to consider and just let it sit in the back of your mind as it comes to me. In the Shiva family, you have Ganesha, who is the lord of the Mooladhara. He sits right at the base of the spine. For anything to happen above, base of the spine, Mooladhara, that is the place where we carry memories of lifetimes. In other words, we have carried our animal instincts, our basic instincts of survival, of fear. Basic instincts are right there. So from there, if I want to think anything beyond that, we invoke the Ganesha energy to break open the channel and open the passage. That is why the whole concept, and I'm giving a yogic perspective to this whole thing. That is why the whole concept of worshipping Ganesha first has even arisen. Because unless the Mooladhara opens, nothing is possible. You cannot think of anything else. I cannot even taste this water because the sense of taste is above Mooladhara, right? I cannot say I, me and mine. I cannot even speak. I cannot even think. I cannot emote. Nothing can happen. I will be a pure vegetable. So in order to break that consciousness from that, you invoke the Ganesha energy and all of that. So we'll understand the Ganesha energy itself as we go along, because it's an important part. Now this is not just religion, okay? This is pure energy sitting inside you, and the reason why we invoke energy first, Ganesha first, is there's a science behind it, if you will, if at all science is a good word to explain. There's a method. Let's say there's a method in this madness. Okay, so in Manipuraka, his brother Kartikeya, the lord of the 6 chakras, he sits here. He has 6 heads. He is the lord of the 6 chakras. If you want these chakras cleansing, one is yoga, one is kriyas, and all of this cleanses the chakras. Pranayama cleanses the chakras. But mantras with Kartikeya involved, with Subramanyam in the mantra, And we'll come across these mantras also as we go along, I promise. There are powerful mantras, very powerful mantras that actually begin to cleanse your chakras, open these channels. So we got to, why did this word come to my mind? I was going to say we have to attack this from all sides. Let's keep that word. I don't know why. Maybe because I was talking of warrior, Hanuman as warrior and all, and that's been in my mind. So we need to take this on all fronts: yoga, kriya, cleansing, mantras, chanting, bhajans, in all manner. We are approaching the same thing, different paths. The same principle is happening within us. So this part. This is the place, the commander-in-chief, he sits here and he commands the 2 chakras below, the chakra on which he's sitting, and the 2 chakras, the 3 chakras above. I'm sorry, the 2 chakras above. Heart, throat chakra, the Agnya chakra, 3 there, and the 3 below. The 6 chakras, he is the one who controls. 3, 1, 2, 3 above, and 1, 2, 3 below. Okay, I'm not very good at numbers. Anyway, so he is here. So that is the importance given to Manipuraka chakra. And that is why in yoga, for those of you who attend my classes, I always say keep your stomach pulled and keep your stomach pulled, and we're activating this Murugan energy within us by keeping the stomach pulled and the Agni element. He was Agni. He was created by the third eye of Shiva, right? So it's pure Agni. Here again, Agni is coming back to digestive juices here. So this is why one has to understand these chakras has so many dimensions of understanding, and we'll explore them one at a time. But the importance of Manipuraka is there. So that is why I know I rushed through this in the last class, but I want to make sure you understand how important Manipuraka chakra is. So every time you offer food, you want to make sure this food is worthy of being offered to this digestive fire. And you don't throw, just like if you do a yagna at home, where they have this a pit of fire, and you offer ghee and holy things inside with mantra chanting. Yagna is a very, very powerful ritual done, where again through mantras you're connecting with all these elements and actually causing that connection, right? Not just physically thinking about it, but actually with mantras and sounds you're connecting to these elements around. So when you're doing that, what is it that you offer into the fire? You don't throw pizza pieces, and you don't throw leftover food, and you don't throw junk into that. You're very careful of what you offer to the fire, and the last thing you want is that fire to go away. You don't want the fire to burn too much, not too less, but a gentle glow, right? So that is what we are doing in our day-to-day life. That is what yoga lifestyle is all about. How can I keep this yagna, this Vaishvanara Agni alive? Because this is Krishna energy, the divine consciousness, who said, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. So this, whether you call him Krishna or Murugan, it's all the same thing. The point is here. So this is connected to eyes, because eyes need light to see objects. So this brings light, heat. Life itself is light. So this is what brings life, maintains life for us. And the destruction of this brings life to an end. So this is connected to eyes. It not only helps us see physically, so let me go to that, eye, a fire element, and sense of sight, eyes. So think of this, not only see physically, but also my perceptions. The way I perceive things, the way I look at things, right? The way I perceive is also sight, correct? So that is also linked to the way I perceive is also linked to the fire element. That is why we say a bulb went off. I got an idea. Oh my gosh, there was a sudden flash of a bulb. Aha moments. Those are all Agni elements within us. So you're able to perceive things differently. Agni. It's all Agni. The Manipuraka chakra is the centerpiece of this grand temple which displays all these centers of consciousness. Okay. Then we come to a very beautiful place, the Anahata chakra. Anahata chakra. Anahata. Anahata means a soundless sound, if you will. A soundless sound. I don't know how else to say that. It's a sound which is not caused by anything, but there is a sound and yet you don't hear it, but you can feel it. Sometimes what you feel is much louder than what you hear, correct? Now there is something called non-verbal communication. You can listen to a person speak. You can see a person on stage giving a discourse. Or you can just have a conversation with somebody and you are listening to him. But there is something else you are able to feel, which is a lot more in volume than what he's speaking. So what he's speaking, kind of you feel, I don't believe what he's saying. But why? He says he's saying the truth, but no, I don't believe why. I don't know why. I have a different feeling about this whole thing. You and I, we are all experienced that. So that kind of thing is inbuilt in us. That is anahata. You feel the feeling, intuition, intuitive awareness, reading in between lines. That is very, very powerful. The non-verbal communication, therefore, in modern communication, they say it is more than 75-80% of the verbal communication. Almost 90% if you include body language and all of that. So there is 7% is the actual words spoken. Then there is 20% or something of the body language that communicates whether it substantiates the content or whether it goes against the content. Is the viewers, they get that message. The body language does not match what he's saying. For example, if I say be calm, don't worry, just be calm, everything is going to work fine, just be calm, we're all calm, right? We're all calm, let's be calm. And I'm doing this and I'm saying be calm. Now you are not going to feel that calmness. Why? Because my body language is completely against what I'm speaking, and the body language becomes more powerful. Correct? If I say touch your chin, let's try this example, okay? So all of you take your right finger, right hand and the forefinger, just to try the silly example, and touch your chin. Just touch it, chin. What happened? I said chin and I touched my cheek, but you are like, oh, okay, whatever he says, let's do this, right? I should have done this, but you all went here and you followed me nevertheless, because what I was saying and what I'm doing, the body language was far more powerful. So the body language is a lot more important than the spoken communication words. And then that is another 20%, but the rest 80% is the energy that is created by the combination of these words and body language, by that personality, by the person, and all of that. That is why in the Vedic context, and that all this pertains to the heart chakra, that's why I want you to understand that you may be good in feeling this intuitively about others, but imagine you're also sending out that same vibrations to others. Others can also read you. So you cannot hide anything from everybody or anybody forever, right? There is this quote, and let me see if I get it right. You cannot fool some people you can fool some people all the time, but not all people all the time, something like that. Anyway, the point here is, just as you are reading others' non-verbal communication, remember your children are actually receiving the energy that surrounds you. They are receiving the non-verbal communication, and only 7% of what you're actually communicating, in that 7% is the words, is what is going into them. So when you're talking about relationships and spouses and children and networking and peer-to-peer communication and friends and social gathering and all of that, it is all to do with how healthy is your heart chakra. Self-confidence and all of that comes in with a combination of fire, Agni and heart chakra. But this heart chakra is anahata, the powerful sound which has no sound, but yet you can hear it. That is what it is. Okay? You can hear it, but yet there is no sound. Anahata. It's a beautiful name for the heart chakra. So, where is this heart chakra located? The region of the chest. The heart is located physically towards the left side, correct? But this is about all of these centers. And there was another question in Facebook to which I responded. Do I have to think of the spinal cord? Are they all situated in the spinal cord? A very good question. Right now, use the spinal cord as a reference. Up the spinal cord, chest, spinal cord area. Use it as a reference to understand where these centers of consciousness are. That's all. Afterwards, you will automatically begin to understand each one is a world by itself. Each one is a window that helps you peep into a whole different dimension of consciousness. So, this is the location of the heart chakra. Right here. where the lungs are. This part. Okay? Though we call it heart chakra, pay attention to the lungs placement. So this is where this entire this concept of feeling, it has a brain of its own, I believe, right? There is a center of consciousness so powerful that is why when you're extremely emotionally affected, either in complete bliss or in complete pain, I'm talking of extremes, or very angry, you feel the pressure here building up here. And that's why you keep your hands on your heart and you say calm down, right? This is important depending on what kind of emotion you're feeling. It all expresses itself here. So the heart chakra begins to vibrate a lot, and many of us have experienced this. So when we talk of these kind of experience, the heart chakra, we think the heart chakra is open fully. It's good to think like that. But I've learned with experience that it is just a little flutter of these lotuses, little petals just flutter, just to give you that joy. Imagine if the real opening happens. It's a completely 100-fold times beautiful experience. And that never ends, right? I can never say my heart chakra opened fully, but when I thought it was open, it was only fluttering, because when it opened a little more, that was a whole different level of experience. Heart chakra, region of the chest. So then we come to the wind element. The element here is wind. Why? Lungs. Lungs are here. Prana, the Vayu is here. This is second to none in importance because it keeps us alive. So just like this fire element, this center digests food and sends energy and all of that to different parts of the body. This predominantly keeps us alive with the Vayu element. So what is a Vayu element in us? The breath that we breathe in and out. Very simply put, we will understand this Vayu element more in detail because there's a whole concept of pranayama and Vayu and all of that. See, up till here it is kind of more digestive juices. I can feel it and you can see it in your body and all of that, right? It's pretty physical in its nature. Fire you can see, water you can see, air, the earth you can see and feel, all of this. But now you're coming into this dimension where you can't see, you can only feel. The wind, you cannot see the wind, you can only feel. So that is why this feeling I was talking to you, that feeling applies to the Anahata chakra. That is why Anahata chakra is connected with feeling. Why? Because it's connected with Vayu. What you can do with Vayu? Can you see Vayu? No. Can you feel Vayu? Yes. I can feel the breeze. Hot or cold, I can feel the breeze. Correct? Breeze touches you. The sense of touch is therefore connected to the Vayu element. So think of the breath. As you're breathing out, examine the air that is leaving your body in the AUM. So let us try that. Before we come to the wind element, let's try the sense of, let me go back to the heart, the region of the heart. Let's go to the region of the heart. 1 second, something happened to my computer here. Okay, let's go to the region of the heart. Practice 1 Om. Just simply allow your consciousness to be there, like we did with every region. Let it be there. Oh, somewhere here Sundar is saying, okay, let me think about it. Just start with that. That's as simple as that. Because the questions that's coming to your mind is exactly the questions I was asking Appaya and others. What where in this heart? It's such a big thing. Where exactly should I focus? How should I focus? The question was just do it. Start doing. Allow the universe to open the doors to you. The spoon feeding can't be done beyond a point because you miss the magic of learning it yourself. So, region of the heart. Just tall and straight. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. At this time, the focus should be just on the region of the chest. And then on the next Om, let's focus on the wind that is escaping. Pay attention to the Vayu as you breathe in and as you exhale, as you're breathing in before the Om, pay attention. And then as you breathe out, pay attention to the air that is escaping from the lungs, which is helping you to make the sound. Take a deep breath in. Vayu. Start with very simple baby steps. Don't overanalyze, don't think, open your mind. With every Om, just feel the experience. Feel it. So, Anahata, feeling the wind, feeling. Focus on feeling. See, don't think, generally when we say, oh, feeling and all is just girlish stuff, and the guys, I'm talking to the guys here, oh, that's all emotional, girlish thing, I'm not into it. It's nothing to do with girls or boys at all, honestly. It's a weird kind of philosophy that in modern society we have adopted. Feeling is very genuine. If you think I love this phone, man, I just love it, that's it. That's your heart chakra talking. So there's no such thing as men don't have feelings and women have more feelings. The women are more prone to express them. That's a different thing. They are very evolved, and their heart chakra is already at a very evolved state. But all of us experience heart chakra. Without the opening of the heart chakra, without the activation of the heart chakra, I believe there is no spiritual progress can happen. Because bhakti is here. The devotion, path of yoga, the path of when we do the Hanuman Chalisa satsangs in the night, that is predominantly for us to feel this energy of God, this energy of divinity within and without. Just feel and emote with it, talk to it, communicate, all of that. The upasana that we do, the pujas that we do, the garlands that we put in the altar, all of that, whether you like it or not, believe it or not, you're communicating with this divine heart chakra, and the heart chakra begins to open. So right away the Vayu element becomes active. So it's a very, very powerful chakra. So wind element, that is also gases, right? One is Vayu, but all the gases, the gas that we pass out through the anus, that is also part of the Anahata chakra, the wind element. The air that we breathe in is the oxygen, the carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and all of these gases, all of them are part of the Anahata chakra, expressions of the Anahata chakra. All right. Then comes the sense organ. Because I said feel, you feel the wind where? You feel it on your skin. Now, Vayu, like I said, Vayu is so important when somebody is lying still and let's say you're walking on the road, you see somebody lying still and you want to make sure he's alive, or what happens? What do? First you touch, right? You touch the skin to see if it is ice cold. When you touch, you begin to know, oh, he's alive, the skin is warm. Or if you touch somebody and your skin is very cold, then you're like, oh gosh, what happened? Right? Then you touch and feel if the air is coming out of the nose. So you touch the pulse. So all of this touch. Vayu signifies life because signifies breath. And the only way you can relate to Vayu is through the sense of touch. So sense of touch, skin. Now here I might as well bring this important thing. Introduce it at this point. To control the Vayu in your body, you can control the sense of touch. Which part of your skin or which part of your body is very, very prone to touching things? Hands, especially palms, especially fingers. If you were interacting and I said, Sundar, that was a nice phone, show it to me again. How am I going to do it? With my mouth? No. Or am I going to push it with my elbow? No, I'm going to grab it with my fingers and show it. My fingers are ready to touch everything, to point at people, to do everything. All gestures are done with fingers. Fingers these fingers represent the health or otherwise of the Vayu element in your body, and that represents the health or otherwise of the heart chakra. Just like Agni and digestion is here, this is health of the body, this is health of the mind. Understand this. Psychology begins here, physical health begins here. So when we say body, mind and spirit, we are talking about body here. From here, fire, water, air, all of that, but this fire is the king of those elements. So fire and wind. So here, this is directly connected to the mind. I don't want to add too much information at this point. Just think about it here, this. And therefore the fingers, you know, if you see when you're nervous, what was I doing to show body language? Your fingers were fidgety fingers. Say, I'm so calm now. My mind is so steady. Can you believe this? If I do this and I say, I am steady. Yeah, I am quite steady. You won't believe it doesn't look steady. Why? Because my fingers indicate what I'm thinking. The yogis, the masters will just look at your fingers and know what is going on in your mind. That is how sensitive. That is why in truth, what is that called? Truth machines, lie detectors. What do? They put sensors where? In your ears, in your nose, in your eyes. You might have seen something, not seen something. You're going to claim. No, they put it on your fingers because these are the right indicators of what is going on in your mind. Very sensitive. This is why, and I'm not going into details more than this. This is why mudras are effective in yoga. The mudras that I do with my fingers reverse the process. Just like my fingers are reflecting the state of my Vayu, through my fingers, I can control the Vayu element in my body. So let's rest that. When we understand mudras, we will revisit this and understand what kind of mudras bring in what kind of feeling in the mind, and all of that relates, because a healthy mind results in a healthy body. Right? If you're upset, then mentally, if you're upset, you've heard something bad news and you're very, very upset emotionally, then no amount of good food will tempt you, right? That's what it is. So, Vayu, the sense of touch. So in this Om, think of the sense of touch. Be very conscious from this moment on. Don't get paranoid, but be conscious. Every time you touch something, what is that information coming to you? How are your fingers placed when you speak, when you sit, when you stand? How are your fingers? What do you do with your fingers when you're alone? Indicate what is going on in your mind to your own self. Don't worry about others. And then you can understand what is going on in your children or your spouse or anybody. Watch the fingers. Fingers never lie. Fingers represents Vayu element. Okay? That's why when you're nervous, your fingers shakes. You tremble when you're nervous. So it's all fingers and hands. They are so sensitive to the Vayu element. So let's meditate on that as we chant this Om. Take a deep breath. Om. When you want to calm somebody, what do? You hold their hands, or you take your hands and put them around their shoulder. Touch brings immediate effect on emotions. Touch is so important. That is why blessings from a guru, why did that tradition even come? By touch, I can convey my powerful emotion to you. That is the beauty of a touch of a guru. So consider that. The importance of touch is to do with the Anahata chakra, with the wind element in the body. Where is the wind element? In the heart chakra. The heart chakra represents that. So, having said that, let's go to Vishuddha chakra. Vishuddha, Shuddha, Vishuddha. The ability to clean like none other. Like Vinayaka, no leader like him. Vinayaka, Nayaka is leader. Vinayaka is no leader like him. The leader of leaders. So Vishuddha is the one the place that really cleanses every other element below. Vishuddha, the region of the throat. This Jalandhara Bandha, right from here. See, you press this, you won't be able to talk, you start coughing, right? It affects the sound element here. So this vocal cord here, this is the space of the Visuddha chakra. This whole place here. It's a very beautiful, beautiful place. So let us do the Om, thinking of the throat chakra at this point. The sound. So now leave the air that escapes. Focus on the sound of the Om. Just on the sound. How steady the sound is. How does the O ends in how long is the and all this. Pay attention to the sound. Take a deep breath. This is the place where all creative arts come into play. When you are in the creative zone, when you are doing something which you absolutely love, then you are not thinking of emotions don't affect you, they don't bother you, food doesn't bother you, you're not hungry, you're not tired, sleep and all other sensual cravings, none of that interests you. You're completely involved in what you want to do. You're so absorbed in it, right? Think of it when you're painting or drawing, when you're dancing, singing music, practicing music, anything which is creative. Cooking also could be very creative, gardening, anything which for you at that moment is so absorbed. You're creative, you're creating something. That at that moment you just become, the Vishuddha chakra begins operating. Where is your center of consciousness? Here. When we are at satsang and whenever I receive messages, Sai Ram, I feel so wonderful, this is such a beautiful session and all of this is, I bow down to that energy in you when I listen to that, because that is the Vishuddha chakra giving you a glimpse of what it means to be in a state of bliss. Patanjali talks about this. The great masters would experience higher dimensions through this and above this, because this is the lightest among all the five elements. Five elements, right? This region of the throat. What is the element here? Space. The element of sound. Ether. Space. That is what it is. Space is a container, the most subtle of all elements. So, water and earth, I could touch, I could feel it, like I can touch it and actually see it. Both touch and see. Fire, I can only see, I can't touch, because I'll burn my fingers. So don't even try that. So even if you try to touch fire, you can't really touch, you can't feel anything when you touch a flame, right? You just feel the heat from it. So it's like a subtle combination of, I can see it, but can I touch it? I can't feel anything, but you can feel. So fire you can see. Wind you cannot see. You cannot touch, but you can only feel. See how these elements are becoming lighter and lighter and lighter, and they become more powerful. Water is more powerful than the earth because it can cut through earth, right? If you see Grand Canyon and all of that, how rivers are formed, a small rivulet slowly cuts into the earth itself. Okay, so water can cut into the earth. Fire can dry up water. The global warming, what is happening? Fire can dry up water. The air can manipulate fire, can put off the fire or create a forest fire, both, right? The wind. So wind is even more powerful. But more powerful than all of that, a container for all of these elements is space. Without space, there's no creation. Space. When we talk of billions of galaxies and this and that, we are talking of where is space, where does it begin, where does it end? You can neither feel it nor see it, but yet you know it is there, because without that existing, none of this, you can infer. I can see this object, I can see this object, and I can say, okay, what is in between these two? I will say Nothing is not the right answer, right? There is something here. What is that? That is space. That is why you say bring it closer, bring it further. Our language is limited by this concept of space. And then comes time. So space is the most subtle of all elements. In that element, there are no boundaries. We create boundaries. We create boundaries and a sense of confined space, but space by itself has no boundaries, correct? So that is why it is linked to creative arts, because when you are in a creative zone, whether it is poetry, music, whether it is meditation, all of this, reaching out to the divine, kneeling down and praying, you are in space element, because the mind begins to go beyond the senses. This is where the caterpillar begins to turn as the butterfly. This is where we enter Turiya Avastha, where the mind begins to cease here, because until here, mind is all there. Beyond this, the mind can't go because the senses are not there. This is where the mind gets transformed. Paramahamsa, I mentioned that in the Dakshinamurti temple video. Paramahamsa, the mind becomes a swan, as it is called. It transforms. It's a whole different energy. The spirit awakens from this chakra. This is the most beautiful place for meditation. Space, sound and ether. That is why among all the yogas, the highest form of yoga is what? Nada yoga. Nada is sound. The yoga of sound is the highest form of yoga. This is the highest form of yoga. Sound. And now you understand why the Vedic seers, the Upanishads, and all of these talk about chanting of mantras, chanting of Bijakshara sounds, chanting of the name of God like Ram and Krishna. And they gave you these names. These names, even if you're an atheist, they say do it. And you watch a transformation, right? We've seen that in history. The very author of the story of Rama was not a believer in Rama. He was a dacoit. He was a killer. Not a saint or a sage or anything, not even a yogi. He was a dacoit. And he was given this mantra. Say, yeah, just chant it. The other way around, Mara, 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 Mara. He said, okay, whatever, I'll try. And then boom, transformed completely. And he became a great author, a great saint, an enlightened sage. Sound can transform every other element below. Therefore, we pay attention to the sound. What is the sense of organ here associated are the ears. Sound that goes in, predominantly the ears. Pay attention to the sound that goes into your body. If you don't like something on TV that you see is disturbing, first press the mute button. Honestly, this is a tip I want to give you. Press the mute button, stop the sound first. Then the effect is automatically reduced 80%. You probably are doing it already, right? If you see some scene and like, oh God, I can't stand this scene. You can close your eyes, but it's no use because the sound is entering here. And so the mind is creating images based on the sound. So first you think you take the remote and hit the mute button, sound is gone. And therefore the effectiveness of that entire advertisement or whatever it is that you're seeing on the scene is reduced by 80%. It doesn't affect you at all. You're just watching some weird movements, you don't relate to it, and then you can put it on. The point here I'm trying to say is that just like you pay attention to the food that goes into your mouth, pay attention to the sound that goes in through your ears, because sound affects that space element, that creative element. That is why we motivate. What is motivational speeches? It is sounds going into your ear and you're like, wow, I love this idea. And it suddenly blows open your mind. Things which you never heard before, right? When you read a book, wow, I never thought of this. These are all sounds going into your mind. That is the beauty of sound. So pay attention to the sound. And therefore, with this in mind, let's chant the Om. Take a deep breath. Om. say the sound and listen to it. You're creating a circular energy right here. The distance between these organs began to reduce, if you notice. And therefore, finally, here, the ear and the mouth. This is the beauty of these 5 elements and the 5 chakras. So we've done 15 so far. We have 10 minutes left. So what I want to do here is not go to the Agnya chakra, because 2 more chakras to cover. These are more abstract, and we'll get to that in a bit. But I want to show you a short video that I did this morning after my yoga class, where I talked about how to sit when you do the Om chanting. Something practical that I want you to develop right from day one as you're beginning to include Om in your practice. Whether you sit for meditation or pranayama or Omkar chanting, this applies. This is how to sit for any of this. So let's take a look at that video and then come back. Okay, take a listen. Namaste. This is a short video to understand better how to sit for meditation, and in this case, since we are doing the Om chanting, how to sit for Om. So this is a general thing. There are many other asanas to sit. I'm not going to cover all the asanas, but just to cover some important points as we begin the practice of sitting and chanting the Om. One has to understand, for the Om, you need to take a deep breath and breathe out. So important thing is the spine should be straight. The main focus is in this part and in this part of the spine here. So you notice that I am sitting on something. I am not sitting on the ground like this. You don't want to sit on the ground like this, because it is very difficult for us to sit straight for a long time comfortably. We are not designed to sit like this. Ancient people used to use a plank to sit on, and this is what I use. You can always use a small plank. This is about a couple of inches from the ground here, if you see. But when you place it at a height below your butt, then your body is automatically, you begin to lean forward. There is support for your lower back. So you can use a plank like this. These are some beans inside. It's called the Zafu cushion. I got this in Amazon just to show you. This also exists. This is not soft foam. There are beads inside. There are seeds inside, right? And so when I sit on it, I don't go all the way down. It's not foam, so it gives me a lot of height. Makes me very comfortable. The blood continues to flow here, more importantly. So you can sit very long periods. You can just sit simple cross-legged also in this pose for a long time and practice 45 minutes to an hour without feet getting cramped. So there is an option between these. If you have a yoga bolster, you can sit on the yoga bolster. I'm just showing you all these options exist, right? Then you have these household things. You have a stool for those of you who cannot sit down fully. Then you have this. You can use this to sit comfortably. See, my back again is comfortable and straight. So you can do the Om chanting like this. You can do meditation like this. Important things are the back is straight and the feet are crossed. When the feet is crossed, the energy begins to circulate in the body. You don't want to be seated like this and chanting the Om. This is like I'm ready to get up when this is over. That's the kind of body language you get, right? But this way, you tell your mind that I'm seated here. I'm not getting up and going anywhere. So, one last thing. Even if you are using a chair, sit on the edge of the chair, not in the back like this, because this crushes your lungs. You want to sit straight. Watch my feet. I turn my feet like this, and I sit tall and straight. You can keep your hands like this, like this. We'll cover mudras and all as we go along. You can keep however you want at this point. This is where you want to sit. The first important thing is this. The second important thing, however you're sitting, right? So we covered that. So the second important thing is you keep your neck. You're sitting tall and straight. Spine is straight. Spinal cord is straight. But the neck is slightly tilted forward. So you watch this. My spine is straight, but my neck like this. So I breathe in. Just giving you an idea. Neck slightly tilted forward, and you're chanting the Om as you're sitting tall and straight. So this is the way I would ask you to begin your practice. Any of these things, the important thing is the spine is open. So you can open up the lungs, take in a deep breath. And as you breathe out, neck slightly tilted forward. A mild Jalandhara Bandha it is called. We'll learn about bandhas later. But a gentle thing. It keeps the prana locked in the chest, keeps your awareness, pulls the awareness up to the chest. So you take in a deep breath. And you keep practicing the Om. Okay, so I thought it's important for me to demonstrate so that as you begin your practice of the Om, you begin it all with the right building blocks, if you will. And then slowly we can see what all asanas we can do, sitting down, sitting on the chair, what mudras, where your eyes should be. All of that will fall in place. But first, get the basics right. Okay, thank you for watching. Hopefully you found that video useful. Most of you would already know all this, but I just wanted to make sure that you and I are on the same page going forward, because then when we start talking of mudras and all, we know we have covered the basics and that is taken care of. Let's learn this one step at a time. Like I said, these classes are slow paced. Let's spend time understanding, listening, then meditating on what you listen, think about it, come back. If you have questions, please feel free to write to me or at sundar@kyg.org. Sundar is spelled SUNDER, sundar@kyg.org. I'll make sure I'll put it up there some next time. And or you can just email or message me on Facebook on my page, Sundar Iyer. And if you have any questions, and if I'm not responding to that time at that point in relation to what we spoke, then I will take it up during the course of these classes, and they fit into this context, and I'll just go by explaining them. So I had a good class. I'm happy that we were able to cover all the 5 elements and learn so much. Every time I revisit it, there's so much to learn. I have to control myself, saying not now, keep that for a later stage, because too much also causes indigestion. So as you practice these Oms, just begin to enjoy the journey and know that Om itself can take you where you want to be. Thank you for watching. Let's bring this class to an end with one Om and 3 Shantis.